Hire one, fire one, erase one from history. And that is what we're doing today. I will have 4 wrestlers in each category. I will either hire, fire, or erase from history. I got this from a meme on Mania Club. It's from WrestleWave. Let's just get started. For hire one, the options are Dean Ambrose, Aleister Black, Dolph Ziggler, and Sasha Banks. They're known by other names right now. Jon Moxley, Malachi Black, Nick Nemeth, Mercedes Moné, but I'm just gonna call them their WWE names. And if I had to pick, Aleister Black never really did it for me. I'm pretty sure it's because he didn't get pushed correctly. That was just a weird, what they did with him, weird, knocking on the door and stuff, but never connected with them. Dolph Ziggler, unfortunately, his time has passed. Definitely dropped the ball on that guy. He has a lot to offer backstage. He has a lot to offer in front of the camera as well. I just don't think WWE fans could ever really get behind him at this point because of this start and stop booking with him. But then again, maybe he could have a Kofi Mania moment where the fans just rally and say, give it to him. Just come on, before his career's over, give it to the guy. So there is still possibility with him. Sasha Banks, believe it or not, she's my favorite horsewoman all around. Becky became the man, and for a while, Becky was one of my favorite wrestlers, period. Not women's wrestlers, but wrestlers. But overall, I love Sasha Banks. A lot of people don't like her mic skills or her wrestling or this or that. I kind of actually enjoyed all of it. Sasha Banks was great, but the one I'm picking, Dean Ambrose, and not because of what he's done outside of WWE, because his stuff in AEW is absolute garbage. I really do think that. But when the Shield music hit at WrestleMania 40, I really thought Dean Ambrose, for 1 second, I thought Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were going to come down and the Shield was coming for Roman Reigns, the Hounds of Justice, and that's when I realized, wow, I actually kind of miss Dean Ambrose. Not Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose. And, could you imagine? Could you imagine if Dean Ambrose came back? Whoa, that would be insane. And somehow you had those 3 in the ring. I really would love just one more run with Dean Ambrose. Triple H in charge, knowing what to do. I think Dean Ambrose could actually be something with the proper person over him. Okay, Vince McMahon was not the proper person. He put way too many restraints on Dean Ambrose, but Tony Khan is not the proper person because he has no restraints on Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose, he's kind of like a dog that will just like run away. He needs a leash. It can't be a short leash. It has to be a leash that allows a lot of freedom, you know? He needs to have fun. You can unleash him at the beach, but you can't unleash him in the city. You get what I'm saying? So Dean Ambrose, I would definitely rehire him back just for the possibility of him walking down with Seth, and who knows, maybe even Roman one day. You never know. If Roman comes back to fight the bloodline, the new bloodline, could there be a moment where the Shield happen? Dean Ambrose, hiring him back. Fire one is the hardest one. It's who am I firing between Dominic Mysterio, Logan Paul, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. Okay, well, I'm not firing Jey Uso whatsoever. Even if he wasn't main event Jey Uso, he offers way too much just as part of the Usos in general, or the bloodline. Jey Uso stays. Love Jey Uso. Dominic Mysterio, if this was year 2 of Dominic's run in WWE, I'd probably fire him. However, I love greasy Dominic Mysterio, who's just a slime ball. When he went to prison, that's when Dominic Mysterio really blossomed. Dirty Dom, I love him. I love the booze he gets. I wish he was in actually more feuds, actual feuds between him and somebody else, not just him and his dad whenever WrestleMania season comes around. I wish Dominic could get a one-on-one feud and not just be kind of part of a feud. I want him to be the main focus of a feud. So now it becomes Logan Paul and LA Knight, and this one's tough. This one's tough. I just did a Devil's Advocate video on Logan Paul, so I understand why people don't like him or feel that he is not worthy of being a WWE star. I actually feel he is, and I love Logan Paul as a wrestler, but I also love LA Knight. WWE has really dropped the ball with LA Knight, and I wonder if it's just because he's too old. LA Knight is like The Rock. Is he as good as The Rock? No, nobody's ever going to be as good as The Rock, but he's very much a character like The Rock. Catchphrases, just witty comeback, all these things. It's just I hate to say this because it's wrestling and age doesn't matter, but it still does. And LA Knight might have aged out. He might have came just 5 years too late. You might be like, well, LA Knight's there week in, week out, and Logan Paul is there only like a couple times a year. But here's the thing, Logan Paul is bringing eyes to the product. He's bringing new people to the product. A bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, 14-year-olds even. He's bringing in a lot of younger people, and that is valuable. That is almost priceless. And Logan Paul, he actually likes wrestling. He loves wrestling. Do I wish he was here more? Yeah, but you could argue that would take away from the attraction that he is. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks, but if I had to pick, if I had to fire someone, it would be LA Knight. If this was like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, LA Knight, Eli Drake, then no, I would have actually probably gone with Logan Paul. But I have to get rid of LA Knight, and it sucks because he's probably the best one in this crowd. But there's just more upside with everyone else. Jey Uso being a part of the bloodline and his skills and his overness with the crowd. Dominic Mysterio being so young, he has a lot of upside. He's already demonstrated that he can be totally over with the crowd. And then we got Logan Paul. I've already explained. He's over with the crowd. He's a great wrestler. He's an attraction, and he brings people that wouldn't watch wrestling into wrestling. And LA Knight is he just missed the boat. And if I had to fire someone, it sucks to say this because I'm a huge LA Knight fan, but I really don't think WWE is going to give him the shot. I don't see WWE really putting faith in LA Knight. So if I had to pick, this one hurts the most. This one's the hardest of the three categories. If I had to pick, I'm firing LA Knight. Oh, that's gonna get me some hate, but I'm sorry, I gotta do it. I'm just looking at it from a business perspective. LA Knight's gotta go. Now we gotta erase one from history, and this one's also pretty tough. Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. I don't think you can get rid of Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns has to stay. He brought the WWE out of 2020, and that horrible era could not be avoided, and he held the company on his back, and he got it to the point to how popular and cool wrestling is today. We have to keep Roman Reigns. First glance, I would say CM Punk, but if you did not live through the summer of Punk, you don't understand the importance of CM Punk. If you started watching wrestling in the last 5 years, then you don't really understand the impact that CM Punk had on the business. And if you weren't watching wrestling at the time, it was really mediocre. Right? Wrestling had gone from Attitude Era to Ruthless Aggression, and it was just slowly declining, right? It got very predictable, very mundane, very just through the motions. Yeah, there were some moments here and there. Nexus, when they tore apart the ring, but even that was quickly squashed when John Cena and his crew totally decimated them at SummerSlam. You're kind of just watching because you have a habit of just watching on Monday nights. And then here comes CM Punk. The pipe bomb is almost cliche at this point. Back then, that pipe bomb, holy cow, never had I seen something like that. Never had I seen something, and so unexpected. There was no AEW at the time. There was no competition at the time, and he just went at it, and it was just so impactful. CM Punk stuff at that time really got a lot of people talking about wrestling again. It didn't bring new eyes to wrestling, but it did bring old eyes back. It made me sit up, right? Instead of doing something while watching Raw in the background, I actually turned my head and paid attention. I started paying attention again to wrestling. And CM Punk rekindled my love and a lot of other people's love for wrestling as well. So CM Punk, I do feel, is very, very important. And personally speaking, for me, he needs to stay. So now I have Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Who do I pick between those? That's a tough one. I'm going to erase Brock from history, though. I think Seth Rollins is going to have way more impact when it comes to training people, backstage presence, all these things. I do believe Brock does love wrestling. I really do. He has enough money where he doesn't have to come back for it. But at the same time, he's going to get a lot of money when he does come back for it. But Seth Rollins, I believe, just loves wrestling. I believe Seth Rollins is wrestling. You know how Shawn Michaels and Triple H, at one point, they were wrestlers, and you could tell they loved the business, and now they're in charge of the business? I could definitely see Seth Rollins one day being in charge of WWE or NXT or something like that. I really do think he has a lot to offer and wants to give it. If you look at WrestleMania 40, he was all over the place. He really played the supporting character so well to make sure that Cody was the main guy, the man in this whole thing. Even The Rock calls him the MVP. I just think that Seth Rollins is too valuable, just too valuable as the guy or the guy next to the guy or the guy behind the scenes. He's just too valuable. I have to pick Brock Lesnar. And it's not because I don't feel Brock Lesnar is bad for WWE. I didn't like that he beat Undertaker. If I could just get rid of Brock because of the streak, and the streak is never broken, then for sure I would get rid of him. But I think Roman would have won it next time anyways. But yeah, it's a tough one, but Brock has to go. Brock has to go because other than being this huge final boss for the last 10 years, he really, I don't know. He has his moments where he does break out. He becomes this, unique character. He has these traits, like when he has Money in the Bank and he's just rocking out, or he's Cowboy Brock and he's a good guy and you're cheering him. He lifts the SummerSlam ring up. There's a lot of cool moments, but I just think Seth Rollins has more to offer the business. So CM Punk, I wouldn't erase because of the Summer of Punk. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief. Seth Rollins for the business as a whole. Brock Lesnar's the one that I feel could just disappear and not affect things as much. And so those are my choices of hire, fire, erase. What do you think? What would you have done? Who would you hire, fire, erase? And do you think my options were good? You tell me. Comment below so you can win one of these belts. Once I hit 10,000 subscribers, I will give a belt away. No joke, I'll do it. I acknowledge Dean Ambrose, and I guess I don't acknowledge LA Knight or Brock Lesnar in this video, but I really do, because those guys are great. They really are. It's just I had to pick. You had to pick, and sometimes you gotta go against your heart and go with what's best for business. Guys, girls, you have a great day. Oh, acknowledge the subscribe button, please. Have a great day.